All right, so we've looked at place value in the millions, place value in the billions, and now what we're going to kind of look at is our comparing and ordering numbers. I'm not going to necessarily go into the billions, but the process is a lot the same. So let's just go ahead and get started. When you're comparing numbers, the easiest way is, well, let's just do a quick review. Let's remind ourselves that when we're looking at these signs right here, this one right here means that it is less than. This means greater than, and then obviously the equal sign means that it's equal to. So really what we're trying to find out is which one's greater than, less than, or equal to. And the easiest way that you can do this is, it's so simple. Stack your numbers. You will probably hear me say this a million times, so just remember, you stack your numbers. Line up that decimal and you stack them up, reminding ourselves what the place value was. The ones goes on top of the ones, the tens goes on top of the tens, and we can just get it right from there. So we're going to take this number, and I'm just going to copy it here. So we've got 1, 2, the commas are lined up, 3, 3, 4. And so as soon as we've got that, what we're going to do is we are going to look at our first one. Okay, so they've got a 1 and a 1. Can we tell which one is bigger yet? No. So then we look at the next place value. So that's going to be the thousands place values. Well, we've got 13,000 or 12,000. Which one do we see that is bigger? And we should see that 13,000 is bigger. And if you can see it that way, then 13,224 is greater than 12,334. And the same thing, whether we're going to the 100,000s now, all you got to do is stack your numbers. So just in order to keep us from being confused, I'm going to take this one and move it over here. So you just write your number, and you notice that I've made sure that my ones is the ones, the tens is the tens, the hundreds is on top of the hundreds. So you just got to make sure that you stack everything up so that your place values line up. And as soon as you've got that, it's the exact same thing. We're going to start at that 100,000th place value. And this time I won't use the reveal tool to make sure that we can all see it. So looking right here, if we just look at this place value right here, 1 and 1, can we tell which one is bigger? No, not yet. So we just go ahead and we look at the next place value. So we come over here and we've got a 1 and a 0. Is there one that is bigger than the other one? Okay, well that top one is. So now we're seeing that 111,231 is the larger number. So really, if I were going to read this expression, what I'm saying is 101,221 is less than 111,231. So let's go ahead, and you're going to use these again, and what we're going to do is put numbers in order from greatest to least. Now you can obviously just put a list and say, you know, from the biggest one to the largest one, but when you are in 4th, 5th, 6th grade, what you should start thinking about is using your greater than sign. So what we're going to say is, since we're going from greatest to least, we'll put the biggest number first, and we'll say that number is going to be greater than the next one. So using our same tool, what we're going to do is I'm just going to take all 3 numbers and I'm going to write them to the side. So I'm going to start with, here, I'll go this way. I'm going to say 339,211. Our next number right here, 121,322. 121,322. You see how that I'm still making sure that I've lined up all of my digits so that place values line up. And then I've got 212,233. So 212,233. Make sure you just slow yourself down just a little bit. If you feel like you need to double check, double check. So what you do now is I'm going to use the reveal tool this time, but remember, you start at our 100,000s, and right there, I mean, really, if you look at it, I'll use the tool, but we really don't even need to use the tool, because as soon as we look at it, we can tell that the 100,000th place value is going to be we can see right away which one's biggest. And so which one's the biggest one is the 3. That was this one. So we know this one's the biggest. And then we got our 2 is in the 100,000. So a 2 is definitely bigger than a 1. So we know that's our second biggest, and then our third one. Now, what we don't want to see once we hit 4th, 5th, 6th grade is we do not want to just see this and you say, okay, well, that's the biggest, that's the second. We want to see you using this greater than sign. So since we're going from greatest to least, we're going to say, well, 339,211 is greater than, what's the next biggest number? So 339,211 is greater than 212,233. And that number is greater than the last number, or the smallest digit, or the smallest number, which is 121,322. So if I were going to read this number as a whole, this whole expression is 339,211 is greater than 212,233, which is greater than 121,322. And so we'll keep going. And so we can go ahead and try this one. So we want to know, what are all the digits? So we're saying what digit could go into here that will make it so that blank 6,654 is less than 166,657. And this one, this is a kind of tricky one. What you really have to think of, since this is a 16 in here, and we're saying that this is the bigger number, anything that's smaller than 16 should be able to fit here. So could 156,654, is that less than 166? Yes. Could 146,000, 136,000, all of them, you could get all the way to just leaving it exactly how it was and saying 6,654 is less than 166,657. So what I wanted to do now is just go ahead and try a couple of just quick ones. This is a pretty simple one. You might see some word problem where it says Mr. Kemery's class has 23 students, Miss Ryan's has 24, and Mrs. Smith's class has 21 students. Complete the table by listing the teachers and the number of students in order from the smallest class to the biggest class or the largest class. So once again, we could just go ahead and, so I'm just going to put a K for Kemery, an R for Ryan, and an S for Smith. And we know that Mr. Kemery has 23, Miss Ryan has 24, and Mrs. Smith has 21. So it wants it always, I can tell you that I will always find one person who just makes this silly mistake. The smallest class to the largest class. So we want to, instead of going from greatest to least, we're going from least to greatest. So which one's the smallest class? And so we'd see that that would be Mrs. Smith, who had 21. And that I'm doing that even without actually saying it. I'm looking at that place value, and I said, okay, well, they're all the same right here. So I'll go to this place value, or the one's place value, and the 1 is the smallest. So who's the next one? Mr. Kemery's class with 23. And so there's my 3 that's going to be right here. So since 3 is smaller than 4, that's how I knew that Mr. Kemery's class was smaller. I wish I only had 23 students. And last one is Miss Ryan's class. Miss Ryan's class has 24 students. So, and that one, I mean, once you get the first 2, the last one's always the easiest one because it's the only one that's left. And this one, I'd like you guys to go ahead and just try rounding some of these. So this is kind of a quick review with our place value. So I'm asking you to take this digit right here and round it to the place value, it says. So I'll do the first one with you. It says round that digit to the tens place value. So we're just going to count it. We've got our 1s, our 10s. So we know that it's that 8 is in there. So the 9, is that going to make me round it up, down, keep it the same? What are we going to do? We're going to actually round it up. So that should bump that 8 up to a 9, and everything else should stay the same. So that is actually going to be it's not letting me drag it up there, so, well, here, it'll let me go to there. So we can go there, or I could go ahead and write it down. 33,146,790.